Ladies and gentlemen, it is my esteemed privilege to honor and introduce the 2014 Boston Marathon winner, Meb Keflezighi.
Thanks, Paul and Karen and San Diego City College for having me. It's a great honor to be back on Park Boulevard, where I went to seventh grade and San Diego High. But before all this, I was born in Eritrea in the middle of a war that lasted for 31 years.
My name is Hatungimana Didier, and I was born in Southeast Africa in a small country called Burundi.
I'm from Sudan. When I moved here, it used to be a united Sudan, but now it's split. The South seceded in 2011.
I'm Suma Masale. I'm from Liberia.
My name is Musa Molai. I'm originally from Liberia.
My name is Hani Hussein. It's Arabic, it means joy. Natively, I'm from Somalia, but I grew up in South Africa.
What we do here is first and foremost prepare for receiving the African refugees that are coming in here. And annually we bring from overseas between 1,000 to 1,200. I left Uganda, fled persecution. When I arrived in San Diego, something that struck me was that the African population did not have any organization that was providing services to them in 1986. I knew about the crisis in Uganda and other parts of Africa, and I knew there were refugees that will be coming from there. Immediately, we started receiving quite a number of refugees from Sudan, from Somali, and I went and visited their homes. Some of these people were sleeping on the floor. Carpet, no, nothing out there. And this is what led to me going out and asking people, can you help? And that's how Alliance started, from that humble beginning. This is where we are now.
I just wanted to escape the war because it was horrible. I mean, people were getting killed, women getting raped, houses being vandalized. And when the war started in 2002, it was really bad for me because the rebels who were fighting the government, they were looking for like young men like me to recruit you, to send you to the front line to fight. So I had to escape with some friends. I went to a neighboring country.
I was 5 years old, and then the reason why we left was because we had a war going on, like non-stop war going on. So, a lot of people were getting killed, so we had to move out. I remember when my mom had me on her back, and then she even told me that she couldn't put me on the ground because she knew if she put me on the ground and they start shooting, then I'm gone.
When the Civil War started in '83, I was about 10 years old. And it progressed until 1987. It was intensified, schools were closed, Villages were being bombed and people were leaving.
The war started in Liberia. They had war going on for like 14 years. And they ended when I was born, 1996. And I think it started again. But I was still in elementary back then, middle school. And I had to stop school for like a few months. But I had to go back and forth from Monrovia, where the war was, and Margibi. So it affected me a little bit, and then it stopped since 2003. We haven't had any war.
In 1990, I believe, the civil war broke up in Somalia, and it was unsafe for my parents and I, as well as my older sister. It was a scary time for them, so they decided they wanted a better life for their daughters, and what they did is they basically left with the clothes on their back.
None of these people have come here because of just coming for economic reasons. These people have fled situations that if they had not fled, typical example like me, if I had not left Uganda by now, I would be dead. I know that. I lost even my own son before I fled from Uganda because of the crisis that we have in there.
My family and I, we separated during the war. There was a day we were in our village. Around 6 a.m., the rebels just attacked the town. Yeah, they started shooting and setting houses on fire, so we had to escape. Everybody took different directions. So my parents and I were separated from that point, yeah.
It was a pretty messed up country. Lots of infighting, lots of discrimination, and people took advantage of that to simply attack their neighbors.
There has been a lot of things going on in Liberia, especially with the government, the war, and law. Back then, everyone took law into their own hands. That was one of the key things that drives me to become a lawyer.
So those challenges makes you tougher, stronger, but also survive.
Typical refugee is somebody that has fled their home country for fear of persecution based on race, religious background, or their political affiliation. Typical example, the Congolese that we are bringing in here now. These are people that have fled war in Congo and are now in Kenya. When they get into Kenya, they are recognized by United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. It's this institution that takes care of them in the refugee camp.
The journey between two countries was one of the most difficult things I ever had to face in my life, because in the beginning, when we left Sudan in '88, we had to walk. And that journey depends on where you live in that country. It could take months on foot. And carrying whatever you have, like you see on television. I was one of those people. That is the difficult part, because first you have to face some animals when you cross the jungles. There are lions, hyenas, and they're hungry.
I didn't know my dad was leaving, but he has to walk 225 miles to save his life because he was aiding the Eritreans. So he was wanted by the Ethiopian military. So he's gonna get prison or he's gonna get killed. My mom encouraged him to be able to take that journey, but what he was leaving behind was a wife, 5 kids, and one on the way. All he had with him was a bag of barley, canteen of water, about $25, matches, and also a stick for protection. So during that journey, the biggest obstacle was not the 225 miles that he was going, but is he ever gonna see his family again? And we were separated for 5 years.
There are rivers you have to cross, and if you don't know how to swim, millions of people, drown, especially children and women.
So I remember being in a boat that it was really small, and we had a lot of stuff that we were taking with us. So the boat got sank, And I remember I was in my mom's back, but I remember how I felt the water, all over me.
You're always hungry because you can't carry food. Unless you're lucky to be crossing a village, then you can go and trade your clothes if you have some clothes, or soap, or a salt, or whatever.
A friend of mine told me about then. He told me that, oh, your parents, I saw your parents, they went to Guinea. And at the time, I didn't get in touch with them because I have no cell phone to call them.
Right.
So I didn't really communicate with them when I was there.
And we are blessed within the Alliance. We have a department now that is called Language and Cultural Solutions. And our job through this department is to go around and educate people about the refugees, where they're coming from, what they've gone through. And people are so receptive when they understand what these people have gone through and why they're here.
When we escaped the war, we went to a country called Sierra Leone as refugees, because when we fled, we had to stay in camps.
It was just grass everywhere, like empty, no houses, nothing. So we just got there and started making those little houses that they make when they go camping.
In the beginning, it was difficult because first there is a lack of sanitation, disease. Food it's rarely there. Drinking water is horrible.
I went through a lot of tough time back in Africa. Even at school, sometimes I would just go and no food, and we only eat once a day, and that's at nighttime. Some people don't eat at all, and it was twice a day to go to school. So you go in the morning at 7, you come back at 12 for lunch. There's no lunch. You just go home, stay there for a while, and go back again. So I done that a few times, going to school hungry, but I would still go to school because my mom told me, how important the school is. So I was, just following her, just keep going.
The militias will always come into the camp, and they will do raids so they can get some food and clothes, and they will come in and get whatever they want, and they don't care who dies and who lives.
So we had a garden that was too far away, like 3 hours working. There's no transportation, everything's done by hands. You gotta work if you wanna go get something. That's how it is. So it was like 3 hours to get to the garden, and then you have another 3 hours to come back. Like my mom, maybe she planted like corn, and we have to get as much as we can, so that way we have maybe like 3 weeks or 4 weeks eating the same food. So we will all go, the whole family, each person get a big of bag, maybe weigh like 50 pounds, and you gotta carry that on your head, and you go back 3 hours carrying something on your head.
I never knew I would leave Africa. You hope the war is stopped and people go back and start over, but it never did. There was a Mengistu regime in Ethiopia, and that regime was overthrown by Meles Zenawi in 91. So we had to leave Ethiopia. So when we crossed back to Sudan in 91, we crossed to Kenya because we couldn't come to Sudan. There's a war still going on there.
And when they're in the refugee camps, they apply to come to United States. This is a process that takes many years. And for you to be part of this 70,000, you are a very, very lucky person.
The rest of my family, my mother and 3 sisters and my brother went to Uganda, and my younger brother and I came to Kenya. We got the application, and then they said, if you want to go anywhere in the world, where would you like to go? And I told them I'd like to go to America. So they gave me the application and I filled it out.
When I saw my mom's name on the list that we're leaving soon, oh man, it was the best feeling I ever had in my life.
A friend of mine was coming over here in America, and he decided to bring me. since he and myself was staying together during the war in the forest, running from one place to another, he thought that he could not leave me behind. He told me, I will do my best, I will do whatever it takes to take you along. I don't want to leave you over here.
So from Italy, my dad went through many obstacles, challenges to go. We tried to go to Canada, didn't work. We tried to go to Sweden, didn't work. We stayed in Sweden actually for a week. Then they sent us back to Italy. And then with Italy, we came to the United States on October 21st, 1987. And the reason San Diego was because my sister Ruth was living here.
They traveled all the way from Somalia through various African countries, all the way to South Africa. Because at the time, South Africa was apartheid era, and South Africa had their own struggles and stuff, but that was the safest place at the time for my parents, and they had family over there. So what they decided to do is they decided to move over there, because it's better to be in a familiar area, in a sense, with family rather than the unknown, considering the fact that they're leaving everything they know behind to go to a new country, hoping for a better life. It is a huge transition. People take it lightly sometimes, thinking it is an adventure. It's exciting. It's a different journey, but it's also scary. South Africa is known as a rainbow nation. It has various ethnic groups, very diverse country, lots of spoken languages. It has actually 11 official languages. So that demonstrates how diverse it is. But towards 2008, there was a lot of xenophobic attacks in South Africa against foreigners of African countries specifically. That includes people who were seeking refuge in South Africa, just like my family and I. Natives from like Zimbabwe, Zambia, Nigeria, countries that had war going on. And people traveled to South Africa as a sense of refuge, as a safe haven, and they felt they would be safe there, but they were no longer safe there. So 2008 was the epitome of xenophobic attacks, simply for being from a different country. And not only a different country, but only African countries, because South Africa has lots of foreign nationals, but they decided to attack other Africans.
When I first got offered, my uncle went back to Liberia after he had spent like 30 years in America, and he went back for a visit. And I told him about my story. I told him about how I want to get out of Liberia to study abroad, get the experience, and get quality education so that I can come back and help my country. And it was like when I was in 12th grade, and then I had graduated and came over, leaving my family, my food, my culture, language, and I miss home.
When they're approved and recommended for resettlement, then they are sent for processing, and the State Department is involved in that screening. And when that process is done, the security background check is also done. And if they're approved, when the last thing that is done is health screening. And if all that is done, then the paperwork is sent to Washington. And Washington would contact us and say, so and so from Congo has been approved for resettlement. Would you want to resettle them in San Diego? And 100% of the time we say yes.
Before I came, I wrote to my mom that I have been approved, I got an asylum, I'm going to America, and she was against it. She said, you can't go. Why would you want to go to America? You can stay here, the peace will come soon and we'll go back. And I said, no, I'm going. The stereotype, when you are not living in the place, the stories you hear, they said if you go to America, they will treat you bad because they treat black people bad in America. That is what the concept the people have. And I said, well, so long as there are black people in America, I'm going. Because in Kenya, I cannot do anything. I can't go to school, I can't work. I need to go somewhere where I can do something.
So where better to go than America, the land of the free and the brave.
In my country, when somebody tells you that, oh, they are going to America, it's like you will imagine, you would think maybe these people are going to heaven, because many people think that America is like a land of opportunity.
It has been my dream since I was a kid to study abroad, because I think if you go to school in Africa, especially Liberia where I grew up, they have jobs opportunity, but it's like they prefer people that have more experiences out of Liberia so that you can be able to influence others when you come back.
And when we accept them, we send paperwork back. This is an assurance telling the State Department we are ready, we will receive them. And that's when we start preparing their apartments and setting furniture, cooking utensils. And then we go and meet them at the airport. By the time they arrive here, everything is ready for them in the apartment. They're always surprised to find food that they normally eat in their home country prepared in here for them.
I remember going on the plane and I'm like, this was our first time traveling on a plane. I was next to the window, I'm like, I'm gonna fall. Because I never seen a car before, I never seen a TV before, I never been on a plane before, so I was like, I don't know, they make it safe. I just know that I'm next to the window and I don't want to fall.
The first place I came to was Kenya. We flew there in an airplane to Kenya. We rested, and then we spent there for like 3 hours. Then we took another airplane. So from Kenya, we flew all the way to London, and we spent another 2 hours there waiting for the airplane at the airport. And then we took another airplane from London, and we went all the way to New York. And we stayed there for a couple hours too, and then we got another one from New York all the way here. Yeah, it was fun for me because it was the first time I'm getting the airplane, so I was having fun.
The Catholic Church sends a car to go and pick me up. They had an apartment for me in City Heights on 36th and University. I was sick because we have to spend the day in Amsterdam, and it was really cold, so when I arrived, I was very sick. Friday afternoon, around 6 in the evening, he gave me $20 and he said, your apartment is number 13 in the second floor, and I'll come and pick you up tomorrow.
For the first 2 months, I didn't leave the house. It was a huge transition, but the thing that kind of helped us is that other Somali people here, and specifically on my mom's side. So they're very helpful.
And that's really important when you have people that will cares about you, cares about what you're doing. It's very important.
I began to feel lonely because I could not connect with anyone. I was a stranger. Yeah, I was a stranger in a strange place, and soon I became homesick.
There were many challenges when we came to the United States too, because language barrier, culture shock, and how big things are here, and diversity was huge. In fact, first time I saw TV, when I was in Italy, I went behind the screen, behind the TV, to see how those people fit in there. So it was a really, really difficult moment for me. But when we came to the United States, my parents told us that this is the land of opportunity. We didn't have it, your uncles don't have it, your cousins don't have it, so don't waste it. Make sure you make us proud.
I was really excited. I was very happy to be here, but I came from a village. I had never gone to a big town before I came over here, so it was, at the same time I was happy, but then I kind of find it a little difficult initially when I get here, because I didn't know anybody, and I was not used with the system, so it was hard for me to get adjusted.
I sat down and I didn't know what to do. I'm new, it's getting dark, and I don't know anywhere. And the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, this is what my mother told me not to come. But soon I went outside and looked down. First floor, I saw 2 children. They were from Congo. So I went down and I spoke to them in Kiswahili. And they said, yeah, we speak Kiswahili. And I said, well, your parents? They said, they're in number 6. I went to number 6. I knock on the door, and they welcome me, and I start complaining. They drop me off and they left, and I'm sick and this, and this is a horrible place, and they start laughing at me. Because they knew what I was trying to say, you know. They said, sit down. The wife gave me some cold medicine, a tea, and we had dinner. And then they start telling me, soon you will get a job, you'll buy a car, and you will forget about Africa. You will get about all your miseries. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, soon.
The next thing here is orientation for them to know about life in America here. Language is a big thing that we help them. Here we have English as second language for them to start learning English immediately. And those that are coming with children, we register them in school. The parents have to get a job as soon as possible so that they don't wind up on public assistance. I can't tell you how important it is, people from specific communities supporting their own people. To meet somebody at the airport coming down the escalator so scared, and you greet them in their own language out there. It's so welcoming and transform everything, and these people feel really at home.
I was in high school at the time, so I didn't exactly get to finish high school, so it felt like a huge loss for me, because everything I was working towards, all my aspirations to go to university, they were just like snatched away from me. I decided to get a job, and I decided to enroll in college, and my aspirations are still on track, but it took a different path.
I didn't speak English at all, not even how to say hi. I didn't know that. So what I think was like, oh, I gotta go to school.
I wanted to go to school. That was my top priority. Case managers, they encouraged me to go to school. They told me, even though you are by yourself, but it will be a good idea to at least go to school part-time and at the same time work, because if you just sit down, you don't go to school, it's not a good idea.
The best part is I'm getting what I want, what I need, which is education. It's not just education, but a lot comes with it. Knowing people, meeting new people, different cultures, especially at City College is very diverse. I'm kind of blessed to study here. If you do the diversity check, you can meet a lot of people from different places that you will even have the chance to meet them if you just sit one place.
And these are very, very serious people that are coming here to be productive citizens of San Diego. And the beautiful thing about this country, somebody can work and go to school at the same time. And we push that agenda because we know whatever they do out there, the jobs that you're talking, minimum wage and all that, those are temporary things that they need to do temporarily. But education is the key. So connecting and working with educators and schools and colleges in here is the best blessings that we can give to these people.
But everything else, like life, I know you get food everywhere, you know, food is easy. It's not like back in Africa. So here, yeah, so life was pretty good.
I got another job at a hotel, Town and Country Hotel in Fashion Valley. That was my first full-time job with benefits. I did room service. I ride a bike, you know, to deliver food. I love that job because I'll get tips like, I'll go home with like $20, $30, a lot of money for me at that time. So I was happy for the very first time, really, because I had a job, I have money, no one telling me what to do. I was so free. The freedom I've never had.
Came from Italy, we playing soccer. We used to dribble the soccer ball to the Morley field and play soccer there. And one day, I saw people running. I'm like, why are those people running? They're crazy. They're not chasing anything. They didn't have a soccer or anything like that. And I think that was the Kinney Foot Locker, which was held in December. So I became one of those crazy people. But that was the first time I was introduced to running.
When I came here, I came by myself. my wife and children remained in Uganda. 2 solid years waiting for them. That was the most difficult years of my life. And when they arrived in here, I celebrated because I never knew I would even see them here. Just give a helping hand to the refugees. Be nice to them. All they need is supportive and guidance out there. And a lot of them are very, very determined. And this is why we have a lot of success stories out there. We have a lot of successful people that have even come and are now working within the organization.
A dream come true, you know, because I never thought about being successful back in Africa. All I had in mind was going to school. That was it. I didn't really know, oh, I was gonna be this, I was gonna be that. But now, for me, it means, you know, all the hard work that I put in and being strong from the struggle that I have made me successful.
I would like to just specialize in some kind of trade, so when I have children in the future, so that way I can lay the foundation for them. Yeah.
There's always, you know, things that navigate your path. There's always things that influence you. So my goal 5 years from now is to have what I came here for, and so that I can go back home and work, probably be a lawyer.
Right now, I'm majoring in psychology. I know exactly what I want. That's the one thing I like about myself. I'm a very determined person. So I'm hoping to get a PhD in psychology. I'm a people's person, so I chose the major that fits with my personality, and I think I'd be great in it.
My goal is to get a bachelor's degree, planning to do documentaries. The story you see about Africa, the war, disease, tragic stories, which is true, is happening. You can see it on a daily basis. I'm a victim, I'm a witness to that. But there is this part you don't see. And they are comfortable. And this part is suffering. Why is that? Why can't the world know that part? I don't know if I will get in trouble because some leaders in whatever country may think I have a political agenda, but that doesn't really matter. I just want to tell the story.